know there are many Taiwanese taboos against women when your parents or the elderly insist that a certain custom and norms, especially in a female, should be implemented at home. Do you want to ask them why they have these taboos? And what do this mean? And what if you don't do it? Will you be punished by God or blamed by those who adhere to the tradition?
If they have encountered this aforementioned problems, but do not know how to explain this mystery, then we will tell you how to find out the reasons and some facts that you may not know. The topic of our presentation today is Taiwan Women Taboo, the views of two different generations. We believe through today's presentation, you will know more about the female taboos. My name is Gina.
I'm Zaki.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Nina.
I'm Ella.
Our presentation will be divided into 5 parts. The first is background and motivation. Second is the purpose of the research. Third, we will talk about our research method. Next is our online questionnaire result and data analysis. Finally, we will end the presentation with suggestion and conclusion.
First and foremost is background and motivation. In our daily life, I see women around me being bound by traditional taboos, such as women not being allowed to take sharp objects during pregnancy, and they can't return to their parents' home on the first day of the new year, and they can't enter temples during their menstruation period, and so on. These elders take this regulation for granted, and even believe that the result of violating taboos equals disrespect for the gods. But for the younger generation, this concept has been regarded as gender inequalities.
There are 3 main purposes in our study. First, regarding those traditional taboos, we want to find out whether there is difference in the views of the younger generation and the elder. Second, we want more people to know the unfairness of Taiwanese traditional taboos and norms for women, and importance of respecting women. Third, we like to see if these taboos still affect women from until now.
Next is the method of our survey. We designed this topic because the taboos around us have been a question for a long time, so we want to figure out the mystery behind it. And we searched for some studies on the internet. We find that the thing of taboos against women in Taiwan have been paid close attention to. After we look at the past studies concerning taboos against women, we conducted online surveys and received 130 responses.
Next, let's move on to our questionnaire results. The 15 to 18-year-old respondents who have more opinions and ideas on this topic. On the other hand, the 35 to 50-year-old respondents appear to be fewer in this survey.
We first asked the elders and young people to check which female prejudices they have heard or experienced. Respondents' perception of which women traditional taboos can be found in the survey result. Most people know that children must take their father's name.
Second, the most common is women cannot go home on the first day of the year. And next, women will still cook at home without working outside. On the contrary, a small number of people experience that their daughters do not have go to a graveyard to community.
According to charts, we can see what not for women have implemented in their homes and their field of the practice. The first is that most of them take their father's name, and second is that they cannot return to their natal home on the first day of the year, and women mostly cook at home.
We also asked the respondents about the reason why they disagree. Most of the respondents believe that it was an equal behavior between the sexes. Superstition is not the same as belief. Some also say that it is a violation of human rights for women's rights. The following group compared the respondent views on disagreement with these traditional norms.
Regarding gender equality, respondents believe that men and women are both human beings. Why do women have to abide by norms that violate their rights? Moreover, those norms do not respect women.
Most of the respondents agreed with some of the traditional female taboos that they were facing in their own use in real life, because some of the traditional female taboos had existed when they were born. they will not want to include them. However, younger respondents have their own opinions, while older respondents feeling that if they follow these norms, they will not be blamed or condemned by God.
We put forward common opinions and common unwanted traditional norms. Do the respondents want to change the unequal treatment they are facing? The following chart analyzes the respondent approach to change the unequal treatment. According to a survey, about 92% of the respondents want to change and fight for their basic rights. However, most of them don't want to deal with it.
And how to change it? If adults want to change the unequal treatment, the following chart analyzes the response approach to changing unequal treatment. According to our survey, 93 respondents believe that school education is the most effective way to influence people. A relatively small number of people choose to change school legislation as a result of a complicated process.
As time goes on, the rise of gender equality and awareness has affected modern people's perception of women's traditional taboos. However, compared to the elders, they believe that following the traditional norm is what family members, ancestors, and the entire traditional society expect. We integrate the literature and online questionnaire, and we're analyze whether they are consistent, and we're dividing them into conclusion and suggestion.
Through online questionnaires and literature analysis, we find that it is very difficult to suddenly change the minds of older generation. According to the results of the questionnaire, most responses are that people who often argue with the elders because those elders take these taboos for granted.
However, you can try to complicate and transmit the knowledge of respective women today. After all, this concept was justified in the era. Since gender equality and human rights have been proposed, it is no longer a traditional concept, but human rights and actions.
After analyzing the literature and questionnaire, we came to the main conclusion. A person's thoughts and thinking are difficult to change, let alone facing the complex opinion and the ideas of the public.
With the change of generation, when women gradually want to fight for their own rights, in addition to a slight change in thought and concepts, the gradually has mentioned this. Although people's concepts typically change after a period of time, and they're using the street movement to tell the government to strengthen the promotion of gender equality, it is possible to reach a so-called all equal.
Ultimately, I would like to make some closing remarks for today's presentation. We hope that someone who has different opinion should be treated equally and be respected. We cannot force anyone to do what they want to, right? And thank you for your kind attention.
8 minutes, 19 seconds. 你们不要紧张，念慢一点。
Great job. I think this topic is really interesting. But I saw one error from your PowerPoint slide. One question, one of the questions you mentioned in the questionnaire was one, they cannot come back home on the first day of the year, right? But you type first year of the year. So there will be whole year. Okay? The whole year will be really, really not good for, not right for the woman. Okay? So, would you please tell us more about why did you choose this topic?
Because our group and all our members in their homes, they face their parents doing practice this taboos in their home, and we all this problem and we discuss together and we choose this topic.
Yeah, and also, well, this is a very interesting topic, and then I do believe that you probably assume yourself as a woman rights activist. So what do you think is the final message or the final takeaway that you want us to know before we get out of this room, especially for men like Brazil? Yeah, final message to us in terms of women rights.
We want to let you men know and want you to know and the women in the past has encountered lots of unequal treatment, and we think it is disrespect women. So we want to let you know to know the taboos and lots of norms in Taiwan and respect women.
Want to say something? No, I mean, you want to say something? Thank you.
I think everybody should